Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. Okay, so today I have something a little bit different for you guys. A little bit of a Christmas present, so to speak. First of all, I have the Melody Beatty, The Language of Letting Go book with me, and it is about holiday triggers. So I thought that I feel like I'm like a teacher in school, and I'm like, okay, boys and girls, today we're going to read A Cup of Christmas Tea. That was this book that my aunt used to always read to me when I was a little kid. She would always have me, she always had this big party like on Christmas Day, night, and all this kind of stuff. And then like she would come over, or was it Christmas Eve? I think it was Christmas Eve she would have it, like after we had our like sit down dinner and everything. And like at this whole party is like people were dancing and, you know, all drinking, smoking cigarettes. It was like real lively, you know? And then she would have me come over and sit next to her on the fireplace, and she would always read me this book, A Cup of Christmas Tea. But anyway, so that's what I feel like today. But I saw this thing on Instagram, and I follow this account. Well, I follow a couple of them on Instagram, and this one is called The Spiritual Magic, okay? And the other one I follow is called like The Law of Attraction or something like that. And they always have these things that are like are really well said, or these lessons that I really, really like. But at the end of it, it will say something that is like real corny. Like if you save this sound and you play it tomorrow at 2:10 p.m., all of your dreams will come true. And I'm like, okay, this is corny, right? And I actually saved another one on here. So I might, when I get done reading this, well, maybe I should do it. I'll do that in the next one. If you guys like it, you'll let me know. But I saw this one on here yesterday. And it's like, you can see, it's like, it has like pictures and stuff. But I'm just going to read it to you because I really, really liked the lesson that it spoke to. So here, let me read it to you. You guys ready? Okay, I literally was like this, like screenshotting all these last night. Okay. There once was a farmer who had 2 buckets. He used those buckets to bring water home every day. One of the buckets had a crack and leaked continuously. The other was perfect and never spilled a drop. As time passed, the cracked bucket became sad about the leaked water. He decided to speak with the farmer. Upon learning that he was sad, the farmer asked the bucket to join him on a walk. They walked down the same path as always, but this time, the farmer pointed out all of the wonderful life that had sprung up around them. He explained to the bucket that he was responsible for all of this beauty. If he hadn't leaked water every day, the plants would never have grown. The bucket realized that despite his flaws, he still helped those grow around him, even when he wasn't aware of it. And I really, really liked this because I think that is really the art of turning our wounds into wisdom and sharing what we have gone through and sharing with others our journey. And so, you know, I think as we near the end of this year and we think about all that we've gone through in this past year, I think that's a really important message to remember, you know, that we can help so many people by just sharing our experience, strength, and hope, you know, and you don't have to have some full resolution to what you've gone through. You don't have to even be on the other side. You can still be in the middle of struggling to share with somebody. You can say like, I'm really struggling, you know, like I'm grieving. I don't know how I feel. I don't know what's going on. And that person might look at you and go, oh my God, I'm feeling the exact same way. I see you. It makes me feel so not all alone to be seen. You know, have you ever been sharing with somebody something, a feeling that maybe you felt like, I'm stupid if I share this with them, or I don't want to share this with them because people are going to think of me in some kind of weird, different way. And then you share with them how you're feeling, and then all of a sudden they look at you, and they look at you and they're like, oh my God, I totally relate to what you're saying. Or somebody does the same thing with you, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not so all alone in all of this. And so I think it's a phenomenal feeling, you know, and I think that when we share our experience, strength, and hope with other people, and we share the journey that we're on, you know, we're leaking water onto the earth to help other people grow as well. And I think that's really what it is about, you know, that's really what it's all about, Charlie Brown. I mean, that's really what it is about, sharing our stories and sharing our journey, you know, and it's like, and it's one of the reasons why I like don't hold back, and like I share in my, you know, like my vlog typically about like what's going on with me and the things I've gone through in my life and whatever. And, you know, and especially over here, like when I share stuff and people be like, oh my God, I totally needed to hear this today or whatever. Like that means a lot to me, right? That maybe something that I'm going through or something that I went through that somebody will relate to, and that just by me sharing it will help them in the long run. You know what I mean? So I loved that. All right, let's get into today's meditation on Christmas Eve. And it says holiday triggers, December 23rd. One year, when I was a child, my father got drunk and violent at Christmas. I had just unwrapped a present, a bottle of hand lotion, when he exploded in an alcoholic rage. Our Christmas was disrupted. It was terrible. It was frightening for the whole family. Now, 35 years later, whenever I smell hand lotion, I immediately feel all the feelings I did that Christmas. The fear, the disappointment, the heartache, the helplessness, and an instinctive desire to control. Anonymous. There are many positive triggers that remind us of Christmas. Snow, decorations, silent night, jingle bells, wrapped packages, a nativity scene, stockings hung on a fireplace. These triggers can evoke in us the warm, nostalgic feelings of the Christmas celebration. There are other kinds of triggers, though, that may be less apparent and evoke different feelings and memories. Our mind is like a powerful computer. It links sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste with feelings, thoughts, and memories. It links our senses, and we remember. Sometimes the smallest, most innocuous incident can trigger memories. Not all our memories are pleasant, especially if we grew up in an alcoholic dysfunctional setting. We may not understand why we suddenly feel afraid, depressed, anxious. We may not understand what has triggered our codependent coping behaviors. The low self-worth, the need to control, the need to neglect ourselves. When that happens, we need to understand that some innocuous event may be triggering memories recorded deep within us. If something, even something we don't understand, triggers painful memories, we can pull ourselves back into the present by self-care, acknowledging our feelings, detaching, working the steps, and affirming ourselves. We can take action to feel good. We can help ourselves feel better each Christmas. No matter what the past held, we can put it in perspective and create a more pleasant holiday today. Today, I will gently work through my memories of this holiday season. I will accept my feelings, even if I consider them different than what others are feeling this holiday. God, help me let go, heal me, or heal from and release the painful memories surrounding the holidays. Help me finish my business from the past so I can create the holiday of my choice. You know, it's a really fantastic meditation. And it was interesting, you know, that I had started this meditation talking about my aunt reading me a cup of Christmas tea. And I think about, you know, my Christmases with my mom and my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, and things like that. And, you know, I was talking about how, like, they would have these big parties, like, on Christmas Eve, like, after we would have a very, like, nice sit-down dinner. I believe it was Christmas Eve that they would have, like, everybody over, and then, or Christmas Day, I can't remember. But anyway, it was magical. It was just very magical, right? But, you know, one of the things that I remember, and it's interesting because whenever I smell the mix of these two together, to this day, you know, 45 years later, it still sets off like this red flag in me, is the smell of perfume and wine mixed together. And I think because I just so remember that smell on my mom and my aunt, you know, the mixture of perfume and wine. And it's because that smell for me reminded me of, yes, the parties were magical, the candles were lit, the fireplace was lit, it was pretty, people were having fun and all that kind of stuff. But at some point in the night, the people would leave, you know, my mom and my aunt would be, you know, like, you know, wavering, and it would end up not being a good memory, and it would end up being fearful for me and scary. And growing up, you know, in an alcoholic family, that was hard, that was, you know, scary. And so, I think that's a lot of it, you know, and I don't know, you know, I have a lot of things that I associate, I think, with having grown up in an alcoholic home. I will say this, and I want to say this to anybody out there that is thinking about possibly getting sober. You know, my mom got sober 6 months after I did, and she was, you know, sober till the day that she died, and she was a month short of being 13 years sober. I really feel like because of my mom getting sober and because of she and I having this relationship that we built together and worked on, you know, that I really feel like we really repaired a lot of what had happened in the past. And so I don't, like, with my mom especially, like, I mean, I wasn't really around my aunt that much that it affected me that greatly. I mean, I was on weekends and things like that, but it didn't, like, affect me that greatly because, you know, my mom was my, you know, caretaker. But I feel like because my mom worked so hard at being sober and she was hardcore about it, you know, and loved sobriety and everything, was very passionate about it, that, like, I've really, like, forgiven so much, and had at the time that she died, forgiven so much of that animosity and that resentment that I had about the past and my childhood, that it's almost kind of like I don't have really many issues with that today. It's like if I smell wine and perfume mixed together, like, it reminds me of that, but it doesn't set me off. Like, it doesn't ruin my day, you know? But I would say, you know, that there were, like, I can remember, like, that was my memory from when I was, like, 5, 6 years old. When I was in high school, if my mom would come near me, like, on Christmas Eve and she smelled like wine and perfume, I was like, Mom, like, ugh. You know, like, I hated that smell. But when she got sober, it was like, and we would talk about those things, you know, because I can remember talking to my mom about the smell of, like, wine and, you know, perfume on her, and, like, I didn't like that smell, and that she would put me to bed on, you know, Christmas Eve and whatever, and that would be the smell that would be in my face, and I didn't like it, you know, and so I think that's interesting, you know, when we talk about that. And I'm still very, like, sensitive of, like, people being in my face with the smell of alcohol. I don't like it. It just kind of seems like smothering to me a little bit, but it doesn't bother me the way that it did all those years ago. And I think part of it is because my mom and I were able to work out so much before she passed away. And, you know, my mom really gave me the ultimate gift by getting sober, like, and she repaired so much of that relationship that we had lost, you know, and I'm so grateful for that, because I have so many friends of mine that are like, my parents never got sober, or they'll say, I never got sober before my parents died, you know, and, like, their parents weren't the ones that had the problem, they were. And so they'll say, you know, I never got to get sober before my parents died, and so we never got to have a better relationship because of that. And how sad that is, you know, and I'm really, really grateful. You know, I think about all of the wonderful Christmases that my mom and I had after she and I got sober, you know, where we would take walks and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I'm grateful for that. You know, I'm super grateful for that. I have lots of really good memories, and those are the ones that I choose to focus on today. So anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.